Hi there, Betty. Thank you for sending in a new set of essays. Remember, please, that when you send us your essays, it's really important to include the task. So, in a task one, it's really important that you include the image you're referring to, because this is really helpful when I do my corrections. Okay, so just add it to your Word document. All right, let's see what you said. This bar chart presents information about the sales of brown and black leather shoes in European countries such as France, Germany, UK, Ireland, Holland, Belgium, Poland, Hungary, and Italy in 2018. Okay. I think this was smart to do. In fact, this is something I tell students to do. This way, they ensure that they've included the information at least once, at least the names of the countries, the categories. That's really important. So I'm glad that you did that. The one thing I would change here is the word such as. Your list here is exhaustive. This is all the countries. But when you use such as, it's like you're saying, oh, for example, this is an example, but that's not the case here because these are actually all the countries. So such as would be incorrect. What you could have said instead is black leather shoes in European countries, in the European countries, France, Germany, etc., etc. Okay? So that's how I would do that. Overall, as we can see from the bar chart, comma, footwear made of black leather was more popular in Hungary and Italy. All right, one sentence here. You can't use whereas like this. Whereas Poles and German people preferred brown leather footwear rather than black shoes. Okay. I guess that's okay. So you said the top two for black leather, the top two for brown leather. I suppose it's okay. A lot of times people like to use the top and the low. So like Hungary had the highest sales of all shoe types in black leather, and I can't remember what country it was. Maybe it was Belgium, had the least sales in brown leather. So something like that also would have been good. This way you talk about the top, the bottom, and then the brown and the black. All right, let's keep going. Hungarians were the top buyers of black leather shoes. Get rid of the, you don't need it. Of black leather shoes in 2018 by purchasing approximately 140,000 pairs, followed by Italians who purchased around 120,000 shoes. Careful, not just shoes, but black leather shoes. So make sure you make this distinction so that it doesn't seem like shoes of all colors, okay? Followed by Italians who purchased around 120,000 black shoes. And then I don't think that a comma is enough here. I think a full stop would have been better. And then you could have said nearly 105,000 pairs were sold to Belgians and Britons purchased 100,000 units. That's fine. Let's see. So Hungary, Italy, Britain, and Belgium. Okay. While brown leather shoes were favorites of Poles, where they purchased around 130,000 pairs in 2018, you need a the here. The next highest purchase of brown leather footwear you're missing a was here, was made by Germans at around 115,000 pairs. Then followed by Irish people who bought 100,000 pairs of shoes. Which color? And lastly, Dutch people purchased approximately 85,000 pairs. Brown leather footwear it's uncountable, was not popular at all in Belgium, where they sold only 5,000 pairs. Similarly, black leather shoes were unpopular in France, where they were sold approximately, where they sold, not were sold, where they sold approximately 30,000 pairs. Okay. Oh, and that's it? All right. Okay, so like I said, it would have been really helpful if you had included the image. This is why, because now I could have referred to it. You mentioned all the countries, and we said that it was important. You mentioned brown and black leather shoes, so that was fine. What I had some issue with was with your organization here and the information that you included. I found that this was rather difficult to follow because you had one paragraph, one detail paragraph, and you threw in everything regarding black and brown leather shoes. So I was kind of reading it along, trying to understand what you were talking about. But I found this particularly difficult. So let me tell you what I mean. Well, I mean, I found it difficult to kind of imagine what you were looking at. So you had Hungarians at the top with black. You had Italians at the second, whatever, at the top also with black. Then you had Belgians and Britons. And then you finished with black. That's it. You were done. Okay. And then you went to brown. And then you talked about the Poles. You talked about the Germans. You talked about the Irish. And then you talked about the Dutch. Okay. So you went from black top four, brown top four, and then you went to the very lowest for brown, and then to the very lowest in black. I didn't think this was a particularly good way of organizing this. I would have had a separate paragraph for black and a separate paragraph for brown. I would have probably mentioned the same information you did as far as the top four are concerned, just because they all are over 100,000. Okay, so I would use that 100,000 that's along the side. I would use that as my cutoff point. So yeah, I would probably do that. But like I said, I would have a paragraph where I would talk about those, the black, for example. I would talk about Belgium, but I would also talk about that second lowest country, okay, whatever it was, because if you notice those numbers along the side, they're in increments of 50,000. So you've got 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. So I probably would have focused on those two countries that are below 50,000. I would have focused on the 3 or 4 countries that are above 100,000. And then I probably would have just smushed together the rest or not even talked about it. Or maybe just said the remaining countries all sold between 50 and 100,000 shoes. But yes, that's how I would do it. I have a second paragraph for black and then a separate paragraph for brown, which would be very similar. All right, and I think that's a better way of doing this. So yeah, I just felt like you were kind of missing some information a little bit, and just needed maybe a little better organization, not just like throwing everything in one paragraph like this. It makes it difficult to follow. All right, why don't we take a look now at your task 2? All right, let's look at this here about fast food replacing traditional food. Let's see what you said. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated that a significant number of fine dining restaurants are being replaced by fast food restaurants across many countries. Some believe that it is negatively impacting on families, individuals, communities in general. Personally, I strongly agree. This essay will argue the reasons why this is happening and adverse consequences of this trend, such as health issues, by demonstrating examples from the U.S. government and World Health Organization in order to prove arguments. Okay, let's look at this again. So, first of all, let's look at the topic, okay? It says they're giving you 2 sentences here that are a given. So they're assuming the first one is a given, okay? That we don't eat so much traditional food anymore. We're eating a lot of fast food instead. Now, what you are asked to talk about is if you think this is negatively impacting families, individuals, and society. Is it or is it not? Is it negatively impacting one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them? Okay, so this is what you have to talk about. So here, when you talk about the reasons why this is happening, nobody asked you the reasons why this is happening. That's not what you're supposed to be talking about. What you're supposed to be talking about is if it is in fact having a negative effect on these 3 layers of our culture, of our society. Okay? That's what you're supposed to be talking about. And that's what you should show in your introduction that you are going to talk about. Okay, so when I see this essay will argue the reasons why this is happening and the adverse consequences of this trend without telling me anything about families, individuals, or society. I'm concerned that maybe you're not going to be answering this with an on-topic response. I'm concerned that it's going to be off-topic, maybe even tangential. Okay, all you need to do is look at the band descriptors to see what happens when you have a tangential response. So that's one thing regarding task achievement, okay? Some people say that you're not judged on your introduction, and that's partially true. However, you are judged. First of all, you need to have a clear position, okay? That's very important. The best place to do that is in your introduction. The other thing is that while you may not be judged on the introduction per se, what you write in your introduction does play a role in the entire cohesion and coherence of your essay. So it has to be a cohesive whole. It has to make up elements that fit in with the rest of the essay. Okay, and then there were some grammar issues that I need to talk to you about. So what I want to do is I now want to read this over, this time correcting some of the language that I saw. All right, so experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether a significant number of fine dining restaurants are being replaced by fast food restaurants across many countries. Now, this in and of itself is too specific. They never asked you about restaurants, about fine dining restaurants. It was never mentioned. So including it here feels a little too specific and not really what they were talking about. Some believe that this is negatively affecting families, individuals, and communities in general. Communities, full stop. New sentence. In general, personally, I strongly agree. Okay? Okay, let's keep. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that the fast food industry is growing rapidly. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, powerful advertisement campaigns such as television commercials, billboards, and many more. That's not a full sentence, that's a fragment. There's no verb. You need a verb here. Recent studies stated that many large fast food restaurant businesses have spent millions of dollars on research and marketing to determine the most effective strategies to attract customers. These mouth-watering ads and display pictures made with professional teams of photographers in order to get that best possible outcome of pictures, which attracts customers of all levels. What? These mouth-watering ads and display pictures are made with professional teams of photographers in order to get that best possible outcome of picture, which attracts customers of all levels. All right, it's a long sentence, a little too long, and it was missing a verb. Secondly, fast food restaurants are, again, you're missing an R, extremely convenient and accessible. They can be found everywhere, from metro stations, shopping malls, to universities. For example, recent empirical research by the U.S. government demonstrated that 90% of all workers and students choose to eat at fast food restaurants only because it is less time consuming and easy to access. It must not be forgotten that although dining at fine restaurants, I don't understand this. I don't understand the healthier here. Okay, maybe although fine dining at restaurants is healthier, it will take considerable cooking time while fast food restaurants provide anything customers, no apostrophe here, desire instantly. So word order. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that many busy workers and students end up eating junk foods as they do not have enough time to go for traditional cuisine. Okay, so what I saw here is exactly what I was worried about when I read your introduction. It is not what they asked you to talk about. You were supposed to talk about families, individuals, and or society. Here you talk about the reasons for this trend. So while it's cohesive and it certainly links back to what you said in your introduction, it's not on topic. Okay? All right, let's see what you wrote here. Despite, no of, we only use it of with in spite. So despite the fact that, no, despite the benefits that fast food restaurants possess, where did you, oh, okay. They, because it's restaurants, they have detrimental effects, on people's health in the long run. Many fast food items are packed with sodium, which acts as a preservative and enhances taste. High sodium diets are known to increase blood pressure, which puts stress on the cardiovascular system. Over time, high blood pressure can stiffen the blood vessels, becoming a major risk factor for heart attack. Also, they are low in protein. What is they? Who is they? What is they? I'm so confused. What is the they referring to? They are low in protein but high in fat and carbohydrates. As per research made by the World Health Organization, 70% of diabetes among the population of developed countries is triggered by excessive usage of carbohydrates. You're missing a verb there too. So is triggered by. Therefore, the growing trend of fast food restaurants has, because it's the trend, has an adverse effect on people's health, which enables an increase of chronic diseases such as stroke and diabetes. Okay. So you totally treated this like a cause and effect essay. So what are the causes for this? What are the reasons? And what is the impact? Not what you were asked to talk about. It's like you totally did something different than you were supposed to do. All right. In conclusion, large fast food companies are doing all their effort. You don't do an effort, you make an effort. Are making an effort in order to attract as many customers as possible through media channels and advertising campaigns. Moreover, they are becoming part of our life because of their convenience and accessibility. However, I completely agree that it is negatively impacting individuals, no on families and communities by increasing chronic disease among the population. Due to the above stated reasons, I believe that choosing fine dining restaurants or eating homemade food instead of going for fast food restaurants will be a wise choice in order to create a healthy society. Okay, so I've been pretty clear about what I thought some of the strengths and what the weaknesses are. A lot of this read really well. A lot of it made sense. It was coherent, but unfortunately, it wasn't what you were asked to talk about. So what you could have done is there are a handful of things. So remember, this is about the negative impact on families, individuals, and society. Depending on what you think, you can have a paragraph where you talk about how it affects one of those three positively. And then the other two, you have another paragraph where it talks about how the other two are affected negatively. So, for example, fast food is really convenient for the individual because it saves time, especially if you're living on your own, you don't have to cook, etc., etc. However, it's really negative for families because we lose culture, we lose some of our, I guess, gastronomic culture and identity. And this, of course, as a whole affects society. Okay, but society is also affected because of the increased health issues people have. So that's one way you could have talked about it. So decide who actually benefits and then decide who actually does not benefit and split your paragraphs like that. Or maybe you think all three benefit and all three also don't benefit or whatever. I mean the options really are, they vary. But that's what you're supposed to talk about. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that gives you some ideas about how to, kind of cover these topics so that you can apply some of this information in another set. Okay, so that's the end of this correction and looking forward to another set from you.